Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are listening to the Podium Podcast from. Welcome back to another video. It is, of course, the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix preview for round 15 of the 2025 Formula One World Championship, located in Budapest, situated in the Hungaroring, only about 10 or so miles from the lovely city of Budapest. But instead of looking at the artifacts and history of Budapest, we are back here for racing once more around the track, which is well known across many Formula One fans for the technical side of the race. But regardless, it is still a fun track to drive. A lot to get through now, but we might as well start here and there because I want to make this a short episode. But of course, the first talking point we've got going into this weekend is a brand new Hungaroring. Yes, you've heard it here first. Formula One has decided to revamp the Hungaroring in an attempt to maybe boost, I suppose, fans coming to the track, or just to have an update since the time it opened in the 1980s. But if you look at the pictures, it is an all brand new pit building and grandstand on the main straight. Looks very niche, very nice compared to the previous building, which maybe looked a little run down. But regardless, it is a step forward in Formula One trying to keep Hungary for as long as it can. I do believe that they have an almost 12-year contract still up and running to keep Formula One racing in Budapest, which for some is a good thing, for some is a bad thing. But for me, I do enjoy racing in Hungary. I think it's a very technical circuit, and yeah, it's good to see more European races probably on the track, more I suppose traditional circuits like Hungary. But it's a very, technical circuit. Overtaking may be a little bit poor around there, but qualifying there is amazing. It's almost like a street circuit in that sense. So yeah, a new look for the Hungaroring. I guess a lot of fans will be excited to go there for the first time if they will be sitting in a new stand. But yeah, new look for the Hungaroring. Next talking point, I'll probably say just going around in the news, is that Williams have appointed Axel Cruz from Sauber to be their COO, Chief Coordinator of their operations. They have snatched Axel Cruz from Sauber, who was very high up in Sauber, who really had a more office-based role in Geneva. But after 15 years at Sauber, he has decided to move to Williams as a chief operator for the Williams team, and he will be starting in 2026. It also shows that many teams around the paddock are poaching other key personnel ready for 2026, because as we all know, 2026 will be the year which many will either make it or not make it, or break it, I suppose, because it is going to be very, very, pivotal for the next, 4 or 5 years of a team's success. So to get these regulations right and locked down will mean that for the next 4 or 5 years they are in steady hands to compete well. Also, the FIA have this week allowed teams which are moving manufacturers, which a lot of them are, to have TPC, which is testing previous cars, allowed for next year onwards, which means that for teams such as Aston Martin, who will move from Mercedes to Honda, or Alpine, who will move to Mercedes from Renault, will be allowed to still test out previous cars despite having a different engine in. Which means that from 26 it will be 2024 cars that they'll be allowed to use. That is the roundup of, the week's news. There's not been much news in a week, considering we've just had a double header with Belgium literally a couple of days back. But if we look at the track itself, what can we say about the track? Well, very twisty, very technical, difficult to overtake. It's almost like a street circuit, but without the barriers. The main overtaking spot would probably be down to turn 1, or down to turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, the first sector. Because the second sector, as many know, is very single file. You've got the chicane, which is a very small, tight chicane, but regardless, chicane followed by a swooping right-hander, swooping left, swooping right-hander, and then the little straight, followed by the third sector, which is a right, a long swooping left, and then a long swooping right, and then down the main straight. So yeah, very difficult to overtake. Strategy will be key around there. We saw last year with us, the both McLaren drivers really battling it out at the front, but of course strategy does come in hand because it's so difficult to overtake. Lando Norris had almost the upper hand in dictating where he wanted that Grand Prix to go, but in the end he gave up the win for his teammate to take Oscar Piastri's first ever win in Formula 1, despite the circumstances. But yeah, strategy is great. Undercut is so powerful around here, which I mean, if you're doing a two-stop, a lot of teams would be aiming to do. If we turn to the weather now, weather is looking very nice compared to Belgium last time out. Friday, Saturday, Sundays are all in the 30s with a minimal chance of rain, which we got last year and the year before that. Is summer in Hungary, and it is a very warm country at this time of year. If we're looking at we're looking at predictions now, the fun part. P5 for qualifying, I've gone for Lewis Hamilton, who I think will do a lot better in qualifying than he did last time. P4 I've gone for George Russell, whilst the top three will be a Leclerc, Piastri and Norris front three. Lando Norris taking pole position around the Hungaroring. Will he keep this in the race? Yes. I do think that the 1-2 will stay the same. It will be a McLaren 1-2 in the Grand Prix, and it will be Lando Norris who will win the Hungarian Grand Prix. He's always seemed to do quite well around here. He's always seemed to have the upper hand over his teammate, and I think that he will convert his pole into a win because overtaking is fairly difficult. Piastri will finish second, whilst I think George Russell will make it up to the podium. He hasn't been on the podium since, I believe, Canada, which is a fair amount of time away from the podium. Leclerc will drop down to P4 as a result, and Lewis Hamilton will keep his P5. In the middle of the race, I'm just going to go based on vibes, but it'll be Piastri, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, and Albon. In that sense, in that order. Biggest good surprise, and I'm still going to put back Mercedes. Mercedes always done well around here. Even when Red Bull and Ferrari were dominant, Red Bull were dominant, they managed to take pole around here, not once but twice in 2022, with George Russell taking his first ever pole position, and in 23, Lewis Hamilton taking pole against a very mighty Max at that point. So I think that this is the time for them to really, I suppose, capitalize on being best of the rest at least, and I think that they will do well around here. On the other hand, I do think a team like Red Bull do struggle around here. They never seem, even when they were in their dominant era, they were never that dominant. You look at last year, Max only finished a mediocre P6 after really having a poor strategy and just a lack of pace, which made him crash into Lewis Hamilton and absolutely go mental on the radio. Craig's prediction, and this is a weird one, but I'm going to say Aston Martin to score 0 points from this Grand Prix. Anyway, I think that will wrap up a very sweet but short 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix preview. Make sure to like and subscribe and have a simply lovely day. Goodbye.